Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter. And there it is. Good evening or good morning, everybody, and welcome to TV Skywriter. I'm Pat Murray. I publish the Durham Skywriter, that's Durham, North Carolina's online community paper. And I would say that half of my guests are from North Carolina and the other half are from elsewhere. And today's guest is from North Carolina, Roxanne Davenport. We'll be talking about epilepsy with Roxanne. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Very happy to have you here. We've been friends for quite a while, ever since I think it was Blab, right?
Blab. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are saying, "What is Blab?" Blab was yet another platform. Right now we're on Get Vocal, and basically anybody can do this. I actually invite anyone to try this. There are a lot of these free, what do they call? I just call them platforms, where you can talk to an audience and have guests and have your own show. So we've been friends since Blab, which was a couple of years ago. Blab has bit the dust. And I think we were friends through, Fire Talk and Huzzah, and now Get Vocal.
Now Get Vocal, yep.
Yep, absolutely. So you are in North Carolina. Which city?
Louisville, right outside Winston-Salem.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So here's the thing. We want to talk about epilepsy, but I really, even though I've heard of epilepsy, I've known maybe one or two people with epilepsy, but I think I might represent the average citizen in saying I don't know that much about it. So just take us to square one and tell us what epilepsy is. I know there's more than one type, but if you can help us out there.
Usually when someone says epilepsy, you think of someone falling down, shaking, or stiffening up. Well, that's true. It happens, but there's also the kind that I have where I just zone out for 30 seconds. Sometimes I shake my hand. Sometimes I even try to respond, but I don't talk, can't talk. And it's because of the area of my brain where it's coming from. It's what causes all of that. So there's some that happen because of lights, photosensitive. There's, of course, head trauma, and they say they're genetic now. They found different kinds that are genetic, but I got mine from high fever when I was a baby.
Wow.
A little area that was a scar tissue really that makes it happen.
So is epilepsy like an electric malfunction in the brain?
I guess,
like a
yeah, I guess you could say it that way to be the easiest way to put it is just electrical activity that's gone haywire.
Okay, but just for a few seconds, right? Or minutes?
Or minutes, yeah. I mean, they say, gosh, I know you could have them 30 minutes, or an hour, but if you've had them previously, they know what kind of medication to give you, and you'll definitely be on the way to the hospital. But some people can have up to, hundreds a day.
So I guess it can keep you from doing well in school and at work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. You can.
Is there a way to work around it?
Well, I just didn't drive. So I always made sure I had a way to work and a way home like that. And there's different kinds of procedures you can have done now to help, which you may hear my voice changing every once in a while. It's because I have what's called a vagal nerve stimulator, which is like a pacemaker for your brain. It sends a wire right beside your vocal cords up into the area of your brain that's affected. And it sends off another electrical shocker. So it'll help either stop it or keep them from reoccurring. And I also have a magnet, a high-powered magnet that if I have an aura, like I usually do before I have one, I just swipe it over top of where the vagal nerve stimulator is, and it sends off a...
Wow. So can anybody get one of those? I mean, anyone with epilepsy get one of those? Is it easy to get?
Oh, yeah. They're used more frequently now than it depends on what kind you have, really, too, and where to put the wire. But they have them, newer ones that are being placed inside the brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why I don't hear about it so much. maybe the medical profession, since I've been a kid, has learned how to deal with it in many ways. Maybe
It,
that's why.
yeah, they're getting better, and the newer medications too coming
Mhm.
out that are like they want to name them now. They're more direct to what area your brain's affected as to what medication they give you. It's not just overall for it's called tonic-clonic or chronic and or what they used to be called grand mal and petite mal.
I was
It,
just going to ask you if they still
mm-hmm.
use those phrases.
Not anymore, no.
Really?
Everything's changing. Yeah, everything's changing.
Okay, okay. Now, I do remember you mentioned flashing lights, and that reminded me of a
Uh-huh.
story. I can't remember which, I think it was some anime show in Japan. There were some flashing lights, and people complained that people with epilepsy were reacting to it in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
Yeah.
noticed now when I watch, especially something like Sky News, they'll
Uh-huh.
say, um, be aware that there will be flashing lights in this story.
Mm-hmm. They're getting better at that. And in England now, it's against the law for them. They've come that far against the law to put anything flashing that fast
Mhm.
on
Oh,
TV
okay, okay. Because
or
I do
movies.
notice again, like on Sky News, they do announce that, and I do want to
Mm-hmm.
welcome Tachi and Bobby. They're watching. Very happy to
Hello.
have you here. We're talking about epilepsy, and actually, this is a good time to ask you about seizure-safe schools. I heard from
Yeah.
you on Facebook, and you were
Uh-huh.
asking me to sign a petition for seizure-safe schools, and I thought I'd ask you. I would wait until the show to ask you what that means exactly.
Well, believe it or not, there's not a school nurse full time in schools now. They just drop in and out. There's, I guess, because budgets or whatever, they can't afford one for every school, so they have to travel around
Oh,
for
wow, I
their
didn't know
district,
that.
for their school districts. Yeah.
Wow.
So um, we, since nurses can't be there, we want to make sure that teachers and bus drivers know what to do and how to react to anyone having a seizure because you can have them anytime.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
doesn't matter. Over, gosh, a lot of people. There's yes, you can go there. There's no sorry, my daughter. Um, there are 15,000 school age kids in North Carolina alone that have epilepsy.
Yeah, I was reading on your
Mm-hmm.
site that 500,000 school-age kids with epilepsy in the USA. So 15,000 in
Uh,
our state.
in our state alone, yeah.
Hmm.
And
So,
we just want them to know how to react because you could think a kid just might be staring off into space. You know, they think they're just in La La Land or something. But if you don't know they have epilepsy, then they might be going into one. So we just want them to be aware and what to look for since there's so many different kinds.
now wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said your type of epilepsy, you might zone out. Okay,
Yeah.
now I do remember. Okay, when my niece was little, she had really bad asthma, and asthma was at least the way she had asthma. You could tell. My sister told me you could tell she was having trouble when she coughed a certain way. And
Uh-huh.
I was totally unaware of that because I thought asthma was like on television, it was just very dramatic.
Right,
So
right.
so I was in my low income neighborhood in Chicago, and there was a mom with a kid, and the kid had that same cough. And I asked the mom, I said, your child has asthma, huh? And the mom was like, I don't know, she always coughs like that. And I was thinking, I wonder
Hmm.
if maybe low income people, because they don't tend to go to the doctor as often because they might not have coverage or whatever. Um, I wonder if sometimes they might miss these signs. And I'm
Yeah.
asking this question in a roundabout way, but I'm wondering if a kid is staring off into space, and maybe they're again the family's not really well connected to medical care, would the parents know to even check to see if the child has epilepsy?
Probably not. Probably not. Because I also have a few other friends from Google who it took them a long time and doctor after doctor to finally get their child diagnosed
Mm-hmm.
with symptoms like that. And here I have a nephew who just started falling to the ground and get numb all on one side.
Whoa.
Yeah, and just all of
Whoa.
a sudden,
How old is
he
he?
was 4,
Gee.
but he's
So
finally got his under control. Thank
so was
goodness.
this in preschool? This happened in preschool or at home?
At home,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So
But
would
if they don't respond, you can hey, think about that. If they don't
mhm.
respond, they keep on doing it all throughout the school year. Maybe the teacher needs to bring it to their attention. It might not be
Oh.
ADD or ADHD, something like that, like they usually blame it on.
Are there tests for epilepsy? I mean, I just heard you say that sometimes people have to go from doctor to doctor,
Yeah.
but for doctors who are in the know, what do they do to identify a child with epilepsy?
Well, they do EEGs, which
Okay.
they put all the electrodes on top of the scalp and read brain waves, but it's not good unless you have one during it because
Oh
it won't pick it
wow!
up.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
So a
Hmm.
lot more. They could get talk to the doc about what they're doing before this happens, what they've done that day, if they had enough sleep, or the flashing lights, something like that, to give them an idea now. Because all I told my doc was, I have an aura, sickness, or deja vu, and then I blank out. But
Okay. When you say aura, I'm guessing that you see some kind of like colors.
no, no,
Right.
no, I get a nauseous, sick feeling. And then sometimes it's real weird, deja vu, where like an old song I hear, it'll come into my head. And it's weird. Everybody, it can be different for everybody too.
But you learn to recognize that as an onset of an
Uh huh.
epileptic event.
Yeah.
Is it always called a seizure or just or
Well,
if it's serious?
it's called seizures after you have more than two, you're considered to have epilepsy. So you could have one seizure in your life and you're not considered to be epileptic. But if you have more than two, yeah, you're
Okay.
considered to have epilepsy. But when I told my doc those symptoms of what happened before, he said, "Oh, well, you've got mesial temporal sclerosis." I said,
Who? Say it
"Okay,
again.
mesial temporal sclerosis."
Okay.
And yeah, so he just knew by symptoms and what I was describing what went before I went into one, and that's what he told me. Uh, go have an MRI. Tell them to take certain views with this cut of your brain, and we'll know where it's at. And he was right.
So in your case, you were able to keep working, I suppose. I mean, does this happen positively for most people?
For to be diagnosed like that,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was
I just don't know how if everyone has access to that kind of care.
oh, probably
You know?
not. No, and see, I was misdiagnosed when I was 8.
Oh,
See,
really?
I had one um, with my mom at home and went to the hospital and everything. And um, being back then, though, they hadn't started doing MRIs.
Okay.
So they said it was juvenile. So they called them juvenile epilepsies.
Oh, okay.
So they thought I would just outgrow it.
Oh,
But
okay.
no,
Okay.
he definitely misdiagnosed me because I'd
Mm.
had the fever when I was a baby. So that
Oh, okay.
spot was there
Mm.
with him. He just never did the kind of scans to be able to tell. And I guess it's because of my age,
Mm.
taking that into consideration too.
Yeah.
Uh,
So when it comes to seizure safe schools, and again,
mm-hmm.
you did put the petition, you did put it on the Durham Skywriter page, and of course I'll be sharing it out as well. Um,
Thank you.
so are you wanting the teachers and the bus drivers, you said, to get some kind of training? And who's providing the training? Mm.
Right. We want them at least. They only need a couple of hours to be able to know what to do. I mean, you definitely see somebody um, they fall to the ground or they shake or they stiffen up. You just turn them on their side, make sure their airway's not cut off, and you don't hold them down. You just put something under their head.
Mm.
Um, but oh gosh, even still, I watched a movie the other night and they said, "Give me something to put on his tongue." Hold on. No, you don't need to. They might bite
Oh,
their tongue, but they're not going to swallow their tongue.
okay.
So, yeah,
You
they
know
still say
what? Come
that
to
on
think of
TV.
it, You know what? One day in high school, one of my friends, we were in line for something, and she had an epileptic seizure. And
Mm-hmm.
we stood around. We didn't know what to do. I do remember some kids saying, "Put a spoon in her mouth." But I mean, come on. I'm
Yeah.
63, so this was a long time ago. Um, but I mean, that was the stereotypical response:
Mm-hmm.
to hold them
No.
down and to put a spoon in their mouth. And of
Yeah.
course,
No.
I mean, there were no spoons in the hallway of the school. We honestly didn't know what to do.
Yeah. You just want to turn them on their side so they don't, gag themselves if they even can throw up. Something that might just swallow it and gag or something. So just roll them on their side. Make sure
Mm,
there's nothing around them that could fall on them or they can hit
okay.
to make it fall on them, just to hurt themselves. But
Mhm.
yeah, thank goodness I don't have one where I bite my tongue because
Well,
that would be painful.
yeah. Now, this might not be a medically related question, but
Hmm.
kids, maybe the child fell out, in the hallway, and like the child who, like my friend. What would you say to the child? Because they're going to be embarrassed, and
Yeah.
if there are any mean kids around, they're going to say something. So
Right.
how would you tell a kid and their fellow students how to deal with the fact that this happened?
That it could happen to anybody. It could happen to any of them. And
Mhm.
there's a lot they can do to help now with the medicine that they have and all the tests they can do. Um, it's more uh, they just need to understand what they are. That they're not going. The kids can just, I think the kids would come more to grips with it if they knew what happened,
Exactly, because I
and
know
it's
it's
not going
really
to happen all
scary.
the time. Yeah, yeah, and they won't happen all the time. There's more we can do for it now. It's just
Mhm.
what they show on TV
Yeah.
is really what puts things in people's mind.
Mhm.
This doesn't happen every time.
Well, how would you convince a parent or parents to allow their child to have a normal life? Because I can imagine if you've never seen this before and suddenly your child seems to be having these seizures and problems, then I think the natural inclination would be to keep your kid at home, safe, and not let him go anywhere because you don't know if he's going to have a seizure somewhere. So
Right?
how would a
Yeah.
parent develop the confidence to let their child live a normal life?
Believe in them. I
Mm,
mean, they, you know what your body can handle, and having them like this, I know what to do and what not to do. So I think a kid, if they deal with it enough, this enough that they'll know themselves. Well, I'm not feeling right. I shouldn't do this. Shouldn't do that. So if you get too hot, sometimes I would get too hot and feel sick. So I would come in. Me when I was a kid. They don't think about that. You can just say, let's do something else, play
okay,
inside. But I don't drive.
right.
That
And
yeah,
and like you said, you will eventually develop ways to discern when something is about to happen and
yeah,
to get yourself to a nice safe place or quiet space. Only problem is, I mean, if you're on the job or in the middle of
yeah.
taking a test at school, I don't know what you would do. I guess if the teacher knows in advance.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Just tell them in advance, because stress, gosh, stress can cause them,
Oh,
and lack of sleep. So just and sometimes food. It's weird. Grapefruits, grapefruits aren't good for you if you take a certain
grapefruit.
medicine. Yeah, if you take a certain medication, if you take Lamictal, you're not supposed to eat grapefruits, which I
What's wrong?
love.
What's wrong with grapefruits?
I guess it's the acid or something in it that affects the medication.
Hmm.
I know so there's a lot you have to read
Mm-hmm.
and really join a group like we have a support group where you'd find out more of this information that people have had to deal with it longer than maybe they have and can tell you more things like different vitamins
Mm-hmm.
and gosh, a lot of things like green tea. That's not good.
Oh, it isn't.
Mm-mm. Green tea isn't good to drink with certain kinds of epilepsy. Yeah.
Well, I think parents with children with epilepsy, people who have epilepsy, maybe it's a good idea for all of them to join these organizations. And in your case, you have the North Carolina Epilepsy Support Group. And
Yeah,
are you guys on Facebook?
we are. We have really, we're all one, but we're in different counties. So we
Okay.
have one for Rowan, one for Guilford, one for Davidson. There's one in the mountains. Oh, shoot, which one is that? And of course, we have one in Forsyth where I'm at.
Okay.
But I'm going to start having some things online for people that, of course, like me, don't drive, where you can join and talk online with Zoom. Because you can fit more people in Zoom than you can, unfortunately, on Get Vocal.
Right. Only 4 here. And in Zoom, like
Yeah.
25 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you're not in North Carolina and you just don't know where to turn just yet, until you figure out where your state support group is for epilepsy, at least look for the North Carolina Epilepsy Support Group and get some information. Because I'm sure the information is going to be pretty much the same from state to state regarding
Probably. Yeah.
symptoms and
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. So
So
we
so
go ahead.
when you reach a certain number of people who have signed this Facebook petition, actually it's a change.org petition
Uh-huh.
that I saw on Facebook for seizure safe schools. So if we reach the number that you're looking for, will that automatically kick in
It
this
will
training
kick.
we're talking about?
Well, no, it has to be put into a bill for
Oh,
them to present. Yeah, no, it has to be put into a bill and present to the ground floor for the state. So I have, I like change.org. They let you put in people you want to keep info being sent to about it. So every time a certain amount of people sign it, the people I chose, like our certain representatives in the state, are being emailed this. Now, I know they're probably not reading it. Maybe people that help them in their office are, but at least they're getting information to where every time we have so many people sign our petitions, we don't have to drive to Raleigh. It's sent to them through email.
I gotcha. So this is really important because I'm sure kids are. You said 15,000 kids in North Carolina who are actually what I have here is infant up to
To 17.
17 years old.
Yeah.
15,200 kids or young folks in North Carolina have epilepsy. And I'm sure not all of them are even
Not diagnosed yet. So yeah, that's still that's a number
yeah.
from 2017, I think it was. So it might have gone up.
And actually, I have another figure here. For every 1,000 students, 6 will have epilepsy.
Yeah, it's it's surprising that we don't talk about this one more.
Yeah, I rarely hear epilepsy discussed. I thought maybe it had been cured,
No,
but
unfortunately not.
I guess not. It's just being overlooked as
Yeah.
people talk more and more about autism and other challenges. Not that autism shouldn't be discussed,
Well,
but it is popular.
you bring up autism. There's 30% of kids with autism. It's either 30 or 40. Let's just say 35% of kids with autism can have epilepsy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So bring up autism, then the kid, what, 3 out of 10 would it be? 30%? Yeah, would be like their kid would have a seizure sometime if they have autism.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So I just want to wrap this up with, actually, I want to ask you about the beautiful telephone behind you. That's the kind of telephone when you're watching Lassie, that old show from the 60s. What's that girl? Call the doctor? Bling, 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 bling.
Yeah, it works. Of course,
really?
I don't have it. It'll ring and you could talk and but it's not hooked up to anything. But
that is so cool.
Yeah, I got it from my grandfather.
Wow. I wish I could run and get it, but I actually have my grandparents' old phone too. It's not like that though. It's a big black tabletop telephone with a rotary dial.
Uh-huh. My mom has one of those for my kids to play with when they come to their house.
I was at an event once where they had some just old things on display, and one of them was a rotary phone. And there were these 2 little kids. They were like 7 and 8 years old. They're like, "What's that?" I said, "You don't know what that is?" They said, "No." And I said, that is this. And they're like, that's a phone? How does it work? I said, try to make a call. And so they were pushing on the numbers,
Uh-huh.
and they were so adorable.
Yeah, it's so funny how it's changed now between my girls with 10 years of difference in their age to where, we just usually always talk on cell phones. They
Mm.
would and text. But now my youngest always gets video calls.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now it's going to get like the Jetsons, you have to put that head or, the fake makeup and stuff, already mask already out for you. So you can
Cool.
look presentable because it's video calls now.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So give us a couple more hints about dealing with epilepsy from an adult point of view and for a parent of a
Okay.
child with epilepsy's point of view.
Well, for me, I just say leave me alone. I can have enough time sometimes to walk out of a room because I have that long enough aura to where you won't even know that I had one.
Okay.
And or don't try to talk to me. A friend, I'll let I have them, so they can sort of tell, or I'll tell them when not to talk to me. Because sometimes I shake my hand, so they'll know if they see me real quiet and shaking my hand that I'm having one. Just leave her alone; it'll go away.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then little kids, let them be themselves. I mean, you can make sure they don't get too hot, and keep track of what they eat and drink.
Mm-hmm.
Just write down with kids. Write down everything and take it to the doctor. You can think of plenty of things throughout the week. Maybe they did this or this. Could this cause this? It's not a stupid question
Mm-hmm.
if you want to ask it. So
And,
keep notes.
and also, like we were talking about earlier, where if someone has epilepsy, the way you experience it, and that is zoning out, staring into
Mm-hmm.
space, if you notice your child doing that a lot, or maybe not even a lot, but time like during midterms or
Yeah, or
while,
if they're eating, I mean, they might drop what they're holding. And if they don't come to you, I mean, it only lasts like 30 seconds. Mine only lasts 30, 45 seconds. But if it keeps happening, something's going on. Something's getting fired electrically the wrong way.
with a child, is there a possibility that a child might not notice the passage of time and that something happened, like a little kid?
Probably. Um, it makes me think of this one commercial where the kid's on the bus and misses his bus stop. And that's because he has narcolepsy.
Oh, wow.
So maybe there's something else going on. Maybe he didn't fall asleep. Maybe he had a petite mal or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So one more question. If you
Yes.
don't diagnose or have epilepsy diagnosed early,
Mm-hmm.
is that a big problem? In other words, can you survive not knowing that you have epilepsy for a while? And some people have, for example, Asperger's, and they
Yeah.
just learn to work around it somehow and just find their own way. Of course, Asperger's is not a health issue. So is it possible to have epilepsy and just find your own workarounds and somehow survive nicely without it having been diagnosed?
Let's see. Not being diagnosed. I guess I don't think that could get worse if it's a genetic type, or unless you've had brain trauma, then definitely would be
Oh.
more going on if you have seizures, because that there could be something else affected up there.
But that really useful thing that you have, is it called like an implant? How do you describe
Oh,
what you
yeah.
have?
Vagal nerve stimulator. It's like a pacemaker. It's right here where the pacemaker goes. And
Yeah,
the
I would
wire.
think, yeah, I would think they would want that
Yeah.
because
And then the
it helps.
wire goes up right beside into my neck up to the spot that where they found was causing it. And it goes off every 2 minutes to send another, like a pulse, electric shock, however you want to say that, to make it go out to that area to stay like, to keep it from sending out other pulses this way to affect this side of my brain. It'll send like one this way to stop it.
Wow,
If that
that's
makes sense.
actually cool because again, without it, it might be harder to function for you, or you zone out more often.
Yeah, it could be more often. Yep.
Excellent. So thank you so much, Roxanne. Now, do you want people to actually contact you, or just go to
Or well,
the
let's see.
North Carolina Epilepsy Support Group?
They can. There's me, of course. I'm Roxanne Davenport on Facebook, or there is the main one labeled that on
You just type
for the whole
epilepsy.
group. Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
Epilepsy Association of North Carolina.
and
Okay.
then I'll type our website, because we post on there when we have meetings, any type of gatherings, any kind of fundraisers. I'll post it on there.
Awesome. And that's just to read for the YouTube audience, epilepsyassociationnc.com. And that's for the Epilepsy Association of North Carolina.
And then there's one of the other guys that's in the Epilepsy Association. He takes care of the Facebook site called National Epilepsy Association. I think National Epilepsy page, but he's under National.
I'm sure it's easy to find.
Yeah. Or look up Tony. Tony Kincaid is his name.
Okay.
He helps a lot. He's the one that's actually got his heart really into helping
Tony
kids.
Kincaid. Okay.
Yeah.
Toney.
EY, yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, Roxanne. I learned a lot because, again, I didn't know that much about epilepsy, and I knew that it was not just people falling out. I was aware after, again, hearing about the Japanese kids who were having problems with the flashing lights, or I think it was some segment of an anime show where there was a lot of really fast movement.
Yeah. Well, The Incredibles Part 2 is pretty bad.
Oh,
the
really?
Movie. Yeah.
So is it flashing lights or what?
Flashing lights.
Okay, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet.
The movie theaters, thank goodness, had signs up warning people not to watch it.
You would think that they would know by now. I mean,
I know.
Isn't
Yeah.
that Disney?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Walt Disney, you think they would know, because they even have a day in Disneyland just for epilepsy, but they didn't watch out for those flashing lights in The Incredibles too.
I'm amazed in this day and age. But anyway, well, we should all be aware. And actually, I think those of us who aren't even parents of kids with epilepsy, or know any adult, I actually can't think of anyone besides you that I know with epilepsy. But it's good for all of us to at least be aware of what sometimes happens, and to not to throttle them if they fall out.
Yeah, turn them on their side.
Don't
move stuff
force
away.
spoons into their mouths.
Right.
But again, that's old school. And you said turn them on their side and make sure that there's nothing around that could fall on them, or that if they move around, that they will knock something down on top of them. So that's all really good to know. So thanks, Roxanne, for educating us about epilepsy. And folks, be sure to read the Durham Skywriter if you'd like to see an all-positive online newspaper. It's called Durham Skywriter. It's durhamskywriter.com. It's for Durham, North Carolina. And also watch TV Skywriter. All of my episodes, even the blurry early ones from 2005 or whatever, they're all on YouTube, where I'm just a beige blur. You can't even see who it is. All of my shows are on YouTube, and I invite you to watch them. I also invite you to just check out my YouTube channel and watch my other videos. And with that, also, if you would like to be a guest on TV Skywriter, contact me. I'm always on Get Vocal. You can find me on Facebook under Durham Skywriter, Twitter, Durham Skywriter, and write to me, durhamskywriter@gmail.com. With that, have a beautiful evening. And don't go yet, Roxanne, because I'm just going to stop the broadcast, but we'll still be here at Get Vocal. We'll hang out with the folks. Okay, so thanks, folks, and have a beautiful day. Ciao for now.